Hello and greetings from Mork's Saloon. You can watch our almond milk video to find out why it's called Mork's Saloon. Today we're in New York City. It's September, and basically the basil is finishing up. They're selling it at the farmers markets with the flowers at the top. It's over. So good deal on basil right now. We have some organic basil that I picked up this morning. See, there's a little flower sitting here. You can see when they start doing that and they pick it off with the flowers, that means it's the last bunch. So we picked up a couple of bunches today, and we're going to make some pesto, because that way we can enjoy this basil all winter long. And it's so easy to make, it's ridiculous. So what we're doing is we're going to take the blender, and we're just going to pop the basil in. I don't know if we're going to make all of it at once, but I think we're going to aim to do so. What does the cameraman think? No,
maybe not.
No, we'll do two sets. I need to grab a towel back here. Yep. There we go. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we just put the basil in there, and then we have a little salt, and we use Himalayan crystals for whatever it's worth. The main selling point is not the 250 million year old part or the fine culinary. It's that we're talking about mineral salt. You can use sea salt from, good sea salt is basically what you want. Something that has the minerals in it, not just, regular table salt. This one has all sorts of little other minerals in it that doesn't normally appear in salt, but it's minerals that you need. And you can see it's actually pink. There's stuff in there, little things from the periodic table that the body's interested in. Salt is a good alkalizer for your body too. You need those minerals to stay alkaline. Olive oil, we use organic, because God knows what's in the other stuff. And we pour some of this in. I don't want too much olive oil. We just want enough to make this soft enough to pour into an ice cube tray. And then when you thaw the ice cubes, you can always add more olive oil, before you actually use the pesto. But you don't want too much oil on the front end. The goal is we're going to pour it into this thing, freeze it, take them out, put them in Ziploc bags, and then you've got pesto for the whole winter. So it's good for people in New York City with tiny freezers that need to accommodate every need you have. It's a nice space convenient thing. Let's put the salt in right now, actually. Pesto needs a fair amount of salt for it to be good. So we're going to put a fair amount of salt. This is one of those to taste. You can always add more salt at the end. You don't really need to worry about undersalting it. I mean, you just don't oversalt it, but you can always add a little more at the end, but we try to get it right. Now, you might wonder why we're not putting pine nuts in here. That's simply because yours truly is too cheap, because I have checked the price on organic pine nuts in this city, and that's just out of the question. So we don't put pine nuts in ours. But we do put a good quality Parmesan on when we do use the pesto and pasta. We use a good amount of good Parmesan to, bring the pesto into its full glory, and then that's very nice. It tastes extremely good. We happen to live in a gluten-free household because yours truly and cameraman can't eat gluten. So we have discovered this is a really, really good pasta for those of us who can't have gluten, and it's also corn-free. And it's delicious. It's just like pasta. It's really pretty amazing. It's made on quinoa, which is a South American grain that actually has a fair amount of protein, so it's one of the better grains out there. So every couple of weeks or so we enjoy a bowl of pasta with pesto in this house. Okay, earplugs, because Blendtec comes with decibel, more than you probably need. Again, I don't like the idea of being healthy, old, and deaf. I'd rather be healthy, old, and with decent hearing. So, I figure 40 years of doing this blending will probably take its toll on the ears. You'll hear in a minute. And for this, when I make my milks, I use the whole juice setting. But for this type of thing, you kind of want to use your speed buttons to kind of figure out how you want. It depends on the blender. For this blender you need to do this. For other blenders you might have a low setting where you can do that, but we find with this blender it's easiest to use the speed up and speed down. So we And I can also see from this we can put the other basil right into it because there's enough oil here to take this basil too. And you're okay. I mean, if your basil's a little bruised and things, you know, as long as it's not bad, a little bruise isn't gonna change the taste of your pesto. So don't be shy. Just don't put the stems in. You know, your basil comes with these big stems, and you pick the leaves off. You don't want to put the stems in there because they're gonna be some pretty tough pesto, I think, if you do that. There we go. About right. Looks right to you? Looks right to me.
Yep.
So we can take the earplugs out so I can hear myself. And then we basically just pour it in the ice cube tray and pop it in the freezer, and when it's frozen you can pop it out and put the cubes in a Ziploc, store it in your freezer, and freeze the next set. Easy does it. There you go. You don't have to be too fussy about a little stuff on the edges. We can fix that later. And again, if this is a little thick when you thaw it, you can just add a little more oil at that point in time. There's just no reason to freeze oil. So again, we live in New York. You don't want to freeze anything that doesn't need to be in the freezer. You have no space for anything, so you need to be careful how you use your space, you know. The objective here is to get just enough in to get the basil frozen in a good way, because the oil actually helps protect the basil from frost burn. If you just put the basil in there, it wouldn't last very long, but once you have it in the oil, it's actually in pretty good shape. So, just going to grab a little house tool and get the last one out. As you can see, you can go ahead and buy a fairly... I had 2 bunches of basil today, and so you can actually buy a fairly good amount of basil, and it won't occupy that much space once you get done with this process. So, going to spread it out a little bit here, and then after that you just clean your tray and you can put the ice cubes back in. So, it's also possible if you buy bulk, like let's say you might live in Hawaii or places like that where you have a lot of access to citrus, or maybe in Florida or someplace, California, where you have access to a lot of citrus all of a sudden and you don't know what to do with it. Well, I'd say go right ahead and take your lemons and take your oranges and take your grapefruit and your limes and whatnot, and just stick it into a juicer, which we have a nice juicer here that we love a lot. That takes care of citrus very easily, and then you just pop the citrus into your ice cube trays and freeze it, and then you have citrus whenever you need it. So there's no reason to drink 15 gallons of lemon juice in a day just to make use of it. You can just freeze it. No worries. So I think we're pretty good here. A little in that next one there. There we go. All done with that. And then, given I'm living in New York, I can't just do what they do in the suburbs and open the freezer door and just slide it right in, because we don't have freezers like that. We actually have to finagle. So I'm not going to take you through that trouble. But this is ready to go into the freezer. It'll be frozen by tomorrow morning, and then they can be popped out, put in a Ziploc, and then stored in the freezer for the future. And I would say one of these is good enough for 2 people's dinner. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's at least 24 dinners here. Does it for me. That was easy.